Hello there guys and welcome, it's Niran here and today it is time for episode number 12 of our Williams Road to Recovery on F1 2013. Of course this is a series where we try and restore the Williams Formula 1 team to their former glories. We are here today in Monza, we're expecting some rain. As you can see here on the race strategy, I'm going to be technically meaning to come in on lap 6 to change my options for primes, but before we get into the race, it's time for the qualifying report. Sebastian Vettel's Red Bull will be fastest in Q1 on prime tyres in front of Ferrari teammates Felipe Massa and Fernando Alonso, showing good pace at Ferrari's home Grand Prix. Pastor Maldonado just scraped through whilst we lost both Toro Rossos, as well as the Marussias and the Caterham. In Q2 it was the Mercs that would impress, Lewis Hamilton fastest over Nico Rosberg. Yasufu made it through, third fastest in front of Sebastian Vettel in the Red Bull. Lotus struggled for pace, while Sergio Perez just missed out on Q3. Fellow Mexican Esteban Gutierrez out-qualified Nico Hülkenberg for the first time this season. However, Sebastian Vettel would again take pole in the shootout in front of Nico Rosberg and Fernando Alonso, making it 3 manufacturers in the first 3. Lewis Hamilton struggled and took only 5th, while Yasufu in the Williams took a respectable 7th. So all of this means that Sebastian Vettel will be on pole for the Italian Grand Prix here in Monza in front of fellow countryman Nico Rosberg. Third on the grid is Fernando Alonso in front of Mark Webber and Lewis Hamilton, with Kimi Raikkonen starting 6th. Yasufu will start 7th in front of Romain Grosjean, Felipe Massa and Jenson Button. So a pretty solid 7th then out here in Monza in Italy. I remember to do my setup crucially, of course, both tracks, this Monza and Spa last time out, which was round 11, both require a huge amount of top end speed. I forgot to do my setup last time out, which was why I was lacking completely through the quick sections. There I am in 7th on the grid. My teammate Pastor Maldonado will start 15th on the grid. Just to clarify, we have a 30% chance of rain, which means we're going to get rain for the last 4 or 5 laps of this race. We've got 4 lights on, 5 lights on, revs up, we're ready for a start, and we are underway. To the right we have Kimi Raikkonen, just in front we've got Lewis Hamilton, and behind we've got Romain Grosjean. It's not the greatest of starts, and we are surely going to get mugged by Felipe Massa and Romain Grosjean behind. We do, Grosjean goes to the inside, Massa's to the outside, we've got 2 McLarens there as well. We're going to brake lay down into turn 1, Perez to the outside there, Grosjean on our inside, bit of contact even there. Both Force Indias around, so we've got Button to the inside of us, Perez on the outside, Massa's there as well, sorry, Button on the outside, even he's now on the inside as they go through the curve of the Grande. We've lost out to Romain Grosjean, we've got Button up in front, Grosjean's going slowly though, he must have lost out. We duck to the outside of Button, but he goes to the outside, so we duck to the inside now. Got the inside of both of them, Webber stops in the apex, so we got the inside of him. Grosjean goes around the outside of the Australian. We now find ourselves in 7th place, just behind the Frenchman Grosjean. Good start for him in the Lotus. Webber now to the inside of us through Lesmo. He gets a little bit of contact though from Button on the inside and spins to the inside. He doesn't spin fully but hits the Armco barrier on the outside. We dip a wheel into the dirt on the outside. This is an absolutely carnage-filled start to the Italian Grand Prix. Button now going to try and duck to the outside. He's going to have to go right around the outside though as we plunge into Ascari, and this car's off on the mini-map. We've got a car well into the gravel. That's a Mercedes. We just have to duck out of the way of Vettel. He hits someone on the way back onto the track. Absolute carnage. One of the Force Indias, I think, goes flying in the background, or one of the Saubers. I can't even tell. So we're now up into 5th because Rosberg's gone off. I think it was Rosberg in that Mercedes, and it was definitely Vettel because I saw his name come up above. We've gone onto the grass on the outside of the Parabolica, and this is one of the weirdest starts to a Grand Prix, to any race I've ever done on this game, ever. We're in 5th place. What a start this has been. Webber spinning, Vettel and Rosberg going into the gravel. Great racing between ourselves, both the McLarens, Grosjean and Massa. Well, Grosjean's pulled away. He's now starting to catch the remaining Mercedes and Kimi Raikkonen in front of him. Raikkonen, who's now up into 3rd after both of those Lotuses struggled in qualifying. Behind us, Jenson Button up into 6th place. I think he started 9th on the grid, so it's great work from him. But we've gone from 7th up into 5th as we go through the second chicane on this track behind Jenson Button. I'm going to guess that's probably either Massa, Webber or Sergio Perez. I don't know if we look back again. I think it might be Felipe Massa in that Ferrari, but it's a great start for us. An initial pretty poor getaway, to be quite honest. Getting mugged really by Grosjean, Massa and both the McLarens out of the chicane. But some decent passing down into the second chicane, sorry. Getting past Webber, getting past Grosjean briefly, and also getting in front of Jenson Button, and then the carnage that ensued. I mean, this has just been This has been odd. We're 2 laps into a 25% distance race. Let's not forget it's meant to rain at the end. We're down to 21, so we've lost someone from this Grand Prix. That was, surely that's going to be from the contact of Sebastian Vettel coming back onto the track and hitting one of his Saubers, I do believe that was. If it was Esteban Gutierrez, then he's extremely unlucky because he actually out-qualified his teammate Nico Hülkenberg for the first time this season. If it was Hülkenberg, then that just continues a pretty poor Grand Prix, really, by his standards. But behind us, Button closing down a little bit, but with our good setup, we've got a lot of pace down in a straight line, even when the cars behind have a decent slipstream. We're going to move on to later in lap 3, down into the Parabolica, and we've got another car off, and it's Kimi Raikkonen, and that has now promoted Grosjean up into 3rd place. We're now up into 4th after the mistake from Kimi Raikkonen. Lewis Hamilton there setting the fastest lap of the race with a 1:25.5, I think that says. He is now in the lead, so he's clearly the remaining Mercedes. It must have been Rosberg. We duck up to try and I was going to say duck up the inside, but we haven't actually gone for the move. I was thinking about throwing myself up the inside of Romain Grosjean, but I decided against it. We've got a lot of time, and we are appearing to be going quite a lot quicker. We go through the Curva Grande here, carrying a bit of pace. We've got Jenson Button closing in behind us as well in this 3-way battle. We're going to go to the inside, though, through the chicane. We've made the move stick, have we? But we've outbraked ourselves. We're going to have to go across the sleeping policeman, and we've had our engine cut off, and somehow, after all of that, Jenson Button is the man who's taken 3rd. We're now alongside Romain Grosjean. Grosjean goes to the outside of us through the Lesmos, but we managed to hold on, take the inside line, and keep hold of our 4th place. So let me get this straight. We went up the inside of Grosjean, outbraked ourselves, and then got passed by Button, but not Grosjean. Well, Grosjean now has the assist of DRS. We're, of course, on this 4th lap of the race, which means DRS has, in fact, been enabled, but Grosjean not able to get enough of an overlap to go around the outside, certainly into Ascari. But look at Button. Look at the pace that Button's got in that McLaren. He's tearing away from us now. He's built up probably about a good old 2.5 second gap. I know a lot of that will have been built up because we were having to defend from the Frenchman Romain Grosjean behind, but still, that McLaren seeming to have a lot of pace behind Grosjean. I can assume that's Felipe Massa, but in front of us, Jenson Button dives into the pit lane, and I just thought I'd follow. It seemed like a decent time. My tyres were starting to go off, which was why Jenson Button was starting to get away quite severely in front. So we're going to swap the option tyres for the primes. We've come in, decided to undercut Romain Grosjean and Kimi Raikkonen and Felipe Massa quite severely. Now the problem is with this, now I didn't realise this until after I ducked into the pit lane. There's a possibility of a split strategy at this track, so the fact that Button has just come in could indicate the fact that he's actually going for a 2-stopper. So the fact that I've come in may also now indicate I'm going for a 2-stopper. So I might actually, I'm trying to go for a 1-stopper. But I just thought my tyres were quite worn. They weren't doing very well. So I decided to come in before that became a huge problem onto these new fresh prime tyres. We've come out into 17th place of 20 of the 21 cars that remain. In front of us, Button now getting held up slightly by the Australian Daniel Ricciardo, and behind Jean-Eric Vergne going into Ascari, though later that lap, and Button manages to get round the outside of Daniel Ricciardo. There was some debris there into Ascari. I don't think it was Jenson Button because he'd already made the move stick, but there was some debris on the inside of the track. We're now going to try and make the move on Daniel Ricciardo, switching up from the lean fuel mixture, which we still had on from the pit stop, now onto the medium, going around the outside then of Daniel Ricciardo into the Parabolica, and Jean-Eric Vergne also makes the move stick as Ricciardo goes a little bit conservative into that corner. So we're now up into 16th place, trying to sieve our way through all this carnage as Di Resta pits. I can only assume that was Di Resta's front wing then that was dumped at the entrance to Ascari. Jean-Eric Vergne, though, getting a pretty decent slipstream on us behind that Toro Rosso, showing a pretty decent amount of pace there, the Frenchman, but we managed to hold on, taking 15th place as Paul Di Resta pits, moving us up a position later, though, into lap 6 even, not 15, we're in 15th place, and we're now bearing down the Marussia car of Jules Bianchi. Jenson Button's made the move stick, there's a group in front of him of Pastor Maldonado and a few other cars. We're now, though, up into 14th, a pretty easy move there from ourselves, past Jules Bianchi, as the cars now in front of Button decide to pit. I can only assume that's people like Maldonado, Sutil, Maldonado in as well. I think Hülkenberg there as well. In fact, everyone coming in, lots of people coming in. We drive around the outside there of Raikkonen as he exits the pit lane, and we're now up into 7th place. So the undercuts worked pretty well for us. We're obviously still behind Jenson Button because he pitted on the same lap, but we managed to get out pretty comfortably actually in front of Kimi Raikkonen in that Lotus, of course. His tyres are now going to take some time to get up to temperature, whereas I've been on mine now for 3 laps, so there's no problem of that. And we're actually catching Jenson Button quite quickly as we go purple through the first sector. Outbrake ourselves slightly, though, into the second chicane. A bit of a compromised line there, having to go across the sleeping policeman slightly. But through the two Lesmos, then we come. We're actually in a decent position, actually, to try and pass Jensen Button. Possibly not into the DRS zone, although we should have DRS to aid us in keeping with Jensen Button down this straight, and indeed we do. But we will have DRS down the front straight, and that should give us a chance to get past the Brit and up into 6th place, although when the pit stops shake out properly, we might be up into 4th or possibly even 3rd. It depends, but we go through Ascari, clubbing the curbs a little bit. Still got a pretty decent gap behind to Kimi Räikkönen. We're down to 20 cars, so we've lost someone else from this race now. It's starting to turn into a bit of a war of attrition. Getting close, though, down the back straight, down into the Parabolica. Got a bit of a slipstream as well, but and a bit of curves too, but not able to make a move down to Parabolica. That would have been a little bit silly, but now we go into the rich fuel mixture. Not curves. I don't think we'll need curves. We can use that to defend ourselves later on in the lap, using the DRS, going into the slipstream. But look at this Grosjean coming out of the pit lane. We have to go through the middle of both of them there, through the middle of Button and Grosjean as he came out of the pit lane. So this has worked a treat. We've managed to get in front of Grosjean, or stay in front of Grosjean, and Massa, who was also coming out of the pit lane then. He's now battling with Kimi Räikkönen a little bit further back, but we've also now made it past Jensen Button and up into 3rd place. That move then, getting past Button, I didn't quite realise that Grosjean would be coming out of the pit lane at that precise moment. But here, after a crazy start to the race, is how things stand. Hamilton leads from Alonso. We are 3rd in front of Button, Grosjean, Massa, Räikkönen, Vettel, Webber and Perez rounding out the points with Hülkenberg and I don't know who was in 12th place. But moving there onto lap 9, I didn't see the preview's so small. I need to make it much bigger, but still, coming through Lesmo, we made a huge mistake onto lap 9. Behind Romain Grosjean's managed to get past Jensen Button, who's now coming for his second pit stop on that split strategy. We made a complete hash of things there through the Lesmo. Grosjean now in front of us. We've got Räikkönen to the outside. We've got Massa there, Vettel there as well. Grosjean's going to hold on to the position, I think, as we come out of Ascari. Behind us, though, now is Räikkönen. Vettel was actually into 5th briefly, but we are now down into 4th place. And what a battle this is turning out to be. We're bearing down on Grosjean in the rich fuel mixture and the slipstream, going up the inside into the Parabolica, and we in fact make the move stick. What a gaggle we have got, though. Ourselves battling here for 3rd, the podium place, the final podium place. Grosjean behind, then Massa, Vettel and Räikkönen until we have DRS somehow. I think we're in the DRS zone when we pass Grosjean. He has DRS though too. He goes to the outside down into the chicane. We should be able to hold on. You just briefly see Grosjean's wheel and front wing there as he tries to go around the outside. A bit of oversteer there. Now Räikkönen up into 5th as well. This is turning into a great race at the moment for Lotus. 4th and 5th at the moment. Grosjean all over us, trying to make it 3rd and 5th, and there's spots of rain on the screen. It's raining here in Italy, just in case this race couldn't get any crazier. It's now going to rain. I don't think it'll be enough to affect the race, but if it was a 50% distance race, this would be one of the best races I've ever raced in history ever, because it would actually have an effect on the race. We're on lap 10 though. We've actually only got 4 laps of this race to go. Alonso up in front, Hamilton winning yet again for the 3rd time in a row. The rain starting to get ever heavier. We're now on to lap 11. We skip a lap in front. Grosjean bearing down on us, down into Ascari, but not enough to make a move. And look at that. I think Räikkönen tried to get at the inside of Grosjean. We were quite conservative down into Ascari, but I think there's been an accident behind, because it's just ourselves and Grosjean now, with no one else really around. So I don't really know what's going on, but it's starting to get a lot heavier now. Well, not a lot heavier, but it's starting to get heavier, this rain, to the point where you can see at least pretty much 10 spots on the camera at once, or at least 5 on the camera at one stage. But still, I don't know what the heck's happened to the battle then behind Grosjean. But still, we're now having a 2-man battle as we now go on to the penultimate lap of this race. It's been an absolutely brilliant race so far as Grosjean bears down on us, down into the chicane. We've outbraked ourselves. We had to go across the chicane. Hopefully Grosjean won't make too much of that. He doesn't in the end, thankfully, but we really braked a little bit too late. I was more trying to look where he was going to go, going defensive, and just sort of forgot about the braking zone briefly. On to the penultimate lap of the race. We've still got +1 in terms of fuel as well. So if we need to swap over to the rich fuel mixture for the final lap, we've got that in our armour, if you like, in our arsenal for the last lap. But Grosjean starting to drop back a little bit there. We were quite cautious actually through that last chicane. The rain starting to get heavier yet again. We've got really just one person breaking away from that battle now for 5th place, and then a gaggle of another 4 cars behind that. So I don't know if someone's broken down. We are down to 19 now, so another driver out of this one. We haven't had this many retirements since Australia, I don't think, where we lost 4 drivers in that one, dropping down to 18. But behind Grosjean again, going conservative down into Ascari. The AI seem to be very cautious, through that corner and we start to spread our wings and fly away from Grosjean. I don't know why I said that at all. I really don't know why I said that. But still, we're plunging now down into the Parabolica as we now are about to start the final lap once we come across the line for the penultimate time. And yeah, we've got one driver breaking away for 5th place and then a gaggle of 3 behind that. I don't know whether it'll be Massa or whether it'll be Vettel breaking away. We flick back onto the standard fuel mixture because I actually forgot I was still on rich, and we're now onto optimal. Well, briefly onto optimal. We're now back onto +1 again. Behind though, Grosjean is starting to fall back, and we are gaining a lot of time. It's actually Felipe Massa. You can see briefly there the Ferrari, the red colours of the Scuderia Ferrari team. Not having a bad home GP, but it could have been a little bit better. Alonso not winning, he's down in 2nd place, but still not too bad for the Ferrari team. Down into the chicane, the rain's still coming down, but it's not going to affect our grip levels hugely. We'll make the tyres go a little bit cold. We've got now a 2-second gap behind. We come through Lesmo 1, but we've got a little bit wide, hugely wide, into the gravel, and we were just starting to get away. Grosjean's going to go round the outside. Surely he makes it through, but then goes wide and into the gravel. I gave him so much space. I gave him so much space to go round the outside. I was already planning to try and get him back at Ascari. A stupid mistake there for myself. Going into the gravel, though, at Lesmo 1, I'm so bad at Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2. I had a 2-second gap as well. I could have just been so cautious through there. Decided not to be. Understeered straight into the gravel. Meanwhile, Lewis Hamilton has won the race. Grosjean has dropped down to at least 5th place because we've now got Felipe Massa up into 4th, making an even better race for Ferrari. Alonso comes across in 2nd place, but more importantly for us, we are going to take a podium place here, only our 2nd podium of the season after our win in Canada. We take 3rd place here in Monza. It's a great result for the Williams team. 4th will be Felipe Massa, but we've passed our objective of finishing 5th or above. We get 3rd place, Maldonado down in 13th place, not getting any points yet again. I feel for Grosjean, I do, because he was in 4th place. That would have been a great result for him. He ends up only 7th place, but here is confirmation of the race results. Lewis Hamilton wins the race by 3 seconds over Felipe Massa's teammate, even Fernando Alonso, in that Ferrari. We take 3rd, just 2 seconds in front of Felipe Massa in the end. Mark Webber was the best of the rest in terms of that battle, that gaggle for 5th place in the Red Bull. Nico Hülkenberg came from 13th on the grid in the Sauber to take 6th place. Great recovery from him. Great drive from him in general. 7th place going to Romain Grosjean. Unlucky, but sort of his fault going into the gravel. Going into the gravel even. I didn't push him off, and I'm not really sure what happened. 8th place going to Sebastian Vettel. 9th Rosberg after those guys tangled on the first lap. Then Perez running out the points from a Button who took that 2-stop strategy. Didn't really work out from them. De Resta, Maldonado, Sutil, Verne, Bianchi there getting 16th place in front of Van der Gaard, Pick, Chilton, and the retirements Raikkonen, who must have retired towards the end, Daniel Ricciardo in the Toro Rosso, and Esteban Gutierrez in the Sauber. He must have been the guy taken out when Vettel came back across the track. At Ascari on lap 1, but here is the Drivers' Championship then, with Lewis Hamilton winning for a 3rd time in a row. He extends his championship lead to 52 points, I do believe that is, in front of Sebastian Vettel in the Red Bull. Behind that, Fernando Alonso getting 3rd in the championship after that great 2nd place for Ferrari. 4th in the championship is Felipe Massa in front of Nico Rosberg. Ourselves now in 6th place, cementing that position in front of Webber, Perez, Raikkonen, who didn't score any points, Jenson Button, who also didn't score any points, and Nico Hülkenberg with that great recovery. Grosjean unlucky then in that race. He's still in 12th in the championship in front of Esteban Gutierrez, Paul de Resta, Adrian Sutil, Daniel Ricciardo, Pastor Maldonado, and Jean-Eric Verne rounding out the point scorer so far this season. Here is the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes leading it by some distance. I think we're going to have to get used to that in real life in Formula 1 this season. Ferrari 2nd in that championship in front of Red Bull. McLaren there 4th in front of ourselves. The Williams team by about 28 odd points. Then Lotus, Sauber, Force India, Toro Rosso, Caterham and Marussia. But I'm hoping you've enjoyed this episode of the Williams Road to Recovery. I certainly did. One of the craziest races we've had all series. One of the craziest races I've ever driven on this game. We claim a podium as well, just to top it all off. A great result for ourselves there in Parc Fermé, getting that 3rd place behind Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso. So like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Comment if you enjoyed it that much, or comment any suggestions you would like to see in terms of improving the series or improving my channel in general. I hope you have a great day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.